Category is Monsters and the Human Connection. These are 3 movies that you need to watch this October. Starting off strong with Sinners, which really does take our cultural history, our colonial history, and turns it into a gothic allegory. Sinners really is about how monsters, while they have this supernatural component to them, they're not exactly supernatural, but rather how power can rewrite a culture. What I love about Sinners is that it kind of centers around blues, and blues has been historically named as satanic, and we see that in the movie as well. But the movie does a great job of exploring what happens when art refuses to die. That itself becomes like a site of survival. Second, and this is kind of like a 3-for-1, we have Nosferatu. I'm primarily talking about the first, the 1922 one, and the most recent one. We cannot talk about vampire movies and not talk about Nosferatu. So when you think Dracula, that's what you're really thinking about. Like pointed ears and the long fingers, hunched figure. You're really thinking about the 1922 first version of Dracula imagery, the Dracula aesthetic from Nosferatu. It's a great mirror into our anxieties. I think that monsters in general, well, this isn't my idea, but if you take monster theory, monsters themselves are a great window into our anxieties as a culture. And Nosferatu is a great representation of fears of foreignness, of fears of plague and sickness. And you see that really reflected in his aesthetics. And what inspires me about both of these movies, and I wrote about this on my Substack, is how they remind us that horror has always been political. And they both use the Gothic. I think Ryan Coogler really does it through like the Southern Gothic lens to tell their stories. And last but definitely not least in this list, we have our queer icon, the Babadook. In the same way we're talking about monsters. Monster here is literally personified grief. The Babadook takes a kind of literal approach to our own psychology. It shows us how unprocessed pain becomes this monster you learn to live with, but it's still a monster around you, within you, all the time. And I think it's a great horror movie because it is so brutally honest about human pain. For me, when it comes to making art, I really took from the Babadook that sometimes the things that you ignore and the things that you want to bury come knocking and come looking for you. So if you want to understand about humanity, don't read philosophy, watch horror.